All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Talking Preps. I got the crew. Randall has on a shirt. He says that Kobe Bryant is the GOAT. I told him that is his GOAT, not the GOAT.
100% my GOAT.
And I told him Kobe is not even the fourth best Laker.
I will stand on that for sure.
Kobe's not the best Laker, so it's hard for him to be the GOAT.
He said not even top four. That's so crazy to me. But
I didn't say that. I just said
that's what Gary just said.
I just said it. Kareem, Wilt, Magic, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West.
Now he's ahead of some. He's ahead of some.
Did you watch all four of them play though?
Yes.
Okay. See, that's normally my first argument. And as you said it, I was like, he probably saw a ball play.
Yeah, I would put him ahead of some of those guys, but I don't think he's the best. I think Irvin is the best Laker. But we're going to get started with the show. We got a busy show. We got the West Meck football coach, Randall Ingram, who Gary knows real well, is going to be on. West Charlotte has a big-time transfer. We're going to talk about that. We got players of the week. We got all kind of stuff. We got about 5 different interviews. We'll get right to it after this. Randall Ingram of West Meck got the job a couple weeks ago, and just want to kind of get his thoughts. I know Gary knows this young man really well. Gary, what do you think about Coach Ingram taking the job over at West Meck?
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I know he's going to do a great job. He possesses all of the qualities that you look for in a head coach. Like I said in the article you wrote, it's going to be some schools that wish that they have hired him earlier because he's been ready for a long time. So just give him time, give him patience, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
But Coach Ingram, is that right? I mean, is he blowing smoke? He telling the truth?
Man, he might think a little bit too highly of me, man, but no, he might be speaking facts, man. Like I've been ready for a while. I've been patiently sitting, waiting my turn. Learned from a couple great guys that taught me the ropes, and I'm super excited to get started, though, man. Like Lutz did a great job with the rollout. I've been everywhere. I see my face every place. Lutz did an amazing job, and I mean the dog and pony show over, man. I'm ready to get to work.
Yeah, I mean the social media bits has been pretty cool. What's been the reception like from the parents? What's that been like?
Oh man, it's been all love, man. They're super excited. The support, it's been crazy. Like my wife, like she was drawn to tears. I ain't gonna lie, I shed a couple of tears, man. It's like almost like a dream come true. Quick story. I was coming to see my grandma today, and she was like, "Oh, I heard you coming back to Charlotte, baby." And I was like, "Yeah, grandma, I'm coming back to coach." And she was like, "Yeah, where you gonna be? West Charlotte?" No, West Meck, because I got the same gear I had on.
Yeah.
Oh, West Meck. And she was like, "Well, you going to be with one of your former coaches?" And I'm like, "Nah, grandma, it's mine. I'm the head ball coach." And she's like, "For real?" I mean, she got super excited, man. And she started smiling. And then she started laughing. She ain't smiled all week, bro, because she's been super sick. Yeah. And she was like, all my work didn't go in vain, huh? Did it? And we just started laughing. We laughed it off, man. It was good, man. That was the best feeling out of all of this.
How do you get that program back on its feet? West Meck did have a run of 3 or 4 straight winning seasons about 5 or 6 years ago, but they've struggled a little bit recently. One win last year. How do you kind of get those guys back on their feet?
I've been shooting through the roster, man, looking over it. I realized, man, West Meck has a lot of athletes, and they've always had a lot of athletes.
Got some running out of pros right now.
Yeah, well, I'm about to say they probably got more pros than a lot of these schools that you think.
Yeah.
But, first things first, I think accountability, discipline, toughness. Like, I want people leaving the football game, whether they beat us 50-0 or they lose 50-0, saying, man, these kids are tough. I do not want to play these kids again in the playoffs. And just accountability, discipline, and toughness is what I'm going to preach. That's going to be my message the whole time. And that's just how we're going to get it done.
Gary, what you got for you guy?
Oh, we've talked over the years. He knows how I think. Like he said, I'm not the only mentor he has. He's been around some good ones. So he'll put all those things together. As long as the school supports him, as you know, as far as helping him find the right coaches and getting coaches in the building. We always talk about that, especially when we do our football show, how it's so important to have so many assistant coaches in the building, and those assistants be visible, and you know, so the burden is not all on Randall, that it's shared, and he's able to delegate, you know, from 7 to 3, because a lot of people think football begins at 3 o'clock, and football begins when they walk in that building at 7 in the morning.
That's right.
Kids are not.
Well, I have Coach Ingram. Coach Ingram. Gary says it's important to have guys in the building. Gary still works in the building.
It's crazy that you say that, man. But about the guys in the building, my administration, Sudamak, the 2 assistant principals, Peoples, JA, they're doing a great job. Yeah. You know, I think they're gonna give me everything. They're doing a great job, like an amazing job. Like it's almost impossible to turn down what they gave me. Right. But I talked to Gary Friday night after my thing, man. I just straight up asked. I said, man, how many days can you give me, man? I was like, go home, talk to Felicia, man. Tell me how many days you got.
Well, I'm trying to break some news. I'm trying to put Gary back to work. He's got a great basketball mind, but he has probably a better football mind. So yeah, I mean, let's do it, Gary. What can we officially name you West Meck football coach, offensive coordinator?
You can name me consultant.
Consultant. What are your goals year one? I know it's probably a lot to say we're gonna go 10-1 and make the playoffs, but what are your goals year one?
To compete, whether it be 5-5, 10-2, like compete, play in the playoffs, go to the second round. I mean, they went to the playoffs this year, so my goal is to compete and at least make the second round of the playoffs. That's my personal goal. I mean, perfect word, I'll say I'm gonna win a state championship, man, but anything's possible. But serious, tangible goals, I want to make the second round of the playoffs and compete every single game.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, man, thanks for joining us. I know you're trying to take care of Grandma, so get back to that. And we'll definitely be talking to you, and definitely got to get you back on the football show when we get all the guys back in the fall, all right?
Oh, yeah, man, I'm ready, man. I got a couple of buddies I need to talk jump to anyway. But, thank
we'll have them all on here.
Thank you, guys, for having me, man. I appreciate y'all.
All right, man. Best of luck.
Hey, the hollering has moved over to West Meck because he ain't scared to talk trash.
All right, we'll definitely get you back on in the fall, Coach. All right.
All right, thank y'all so much, man.
All right, man. Take care.
All right.
Now that sounds like a good young man, and Gary does speak very highly of him. I'm just very impressed with that young man. All right, so that's our little mini football show. We're gonna be back with basketball after this break. Every week on Thursday and Saturday morning, get the latest in high school news from around the region in the Charlotte Observer's free newsletter, Talking Preps, the newsletter. Make sure you sign up now. All right, guys, we're back. We're going to talk about the biggest things that happened last week. Randall, I got to start with Huff beating North Meck at home. North Meck hadn't lost in about 3 years at home, and Bo May's young team went there and did it 58-56. You're on mute, though, Randall. He's still on mute.
There we go. That's a huge win for Bo. I'm so happy for him. Everybody knows that's a tough place to play, and especially as a first-year head coach, I'm sure nobody, except for his team and his family, probably thought that they were going to go in there and get a win. A huge win for a first-year coach, and I think really solidifies what he's been doing so far at Huff. I think there were still a lot of questions, and I think a lot of those questions were answered on Friday night.
Rick, you were giving us updates in the chat. I guess you saw the game on streaming. What did you think about Huff getting that win?
It was pretty amazing. First of all, you have to remember that when May inherited the job, he lost the top 3 seniors from last year, their top 3 leading scorers. So, they were sort of in the dark as far as what they're going to have this season. So he's done an extremely good job. And I was watching the game, and it was, I was impressed with their ball movement, the way they moved without the ball, the way they were making the extra pass. And, they just played hard and they competed. And more importantly, they were just having fun on the court.
Yeah, no, it was pretty amazing. And Huff all of a sudden looks like they might be a challenger for, a legitimate conference championship and legitimate late playoff run. the thing about there not being any heavy favorites in basketball means that anybody can get hot and make a run. And right now, Huff is as hot as anybody and making a run. And Bo May, looks like a candidate for Rick Lewis's Coach of the Year maybe later on.
Well, they're currently 12-3, and they have a big game. We'll talk about it later at Myers Park on Friday night.
Absolutely. Randall, are you going to pick against Myers Park again, by the way?
Man, after that phone call I got last night, no way.
You went against all your teams last week. You picked against
Latin. And I heard from all of them. The Latin moms made sure they let me know how they felt. The Myers Park team called from the bus yesterday. So
from the bus.
From the bus. They didn't wait. They called as soon as they got on the bus. They made sure that I know that they won at New Hanover.
See, the problem, Gary, is that Randall had no clue the true reach of Talking Preps. He thought it was just this little thing that we did on Sundays, and he had no idea. But now you know, Randall. So just be a little more careful with those picks.
Randall, do you do the grocery shopping for your family? Because I catch it in Harris Teeter.
I do the grocery shopping. I haven't caught it there yet, but I'm sure it's coming because the way that these people have been calling me and texting me about my picks the last couple of weeks, it's been hilarious.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's why we do it, get people talking. Well, nobody's seen more high school basketball in person, I don't think, than Richard Walker. Richard saw Charlotte Latin on Tuesday sweep their rival, Charlotte Christian. The girls won big, and before I get Richard to react, we want to hear what Charlotte Tune had to say about the big win of Christian.
Basically, another good game for you guys. Strong start to the season, conference opener. Your thoughts on winning?
I was really proud of us, and it's definitely a good way to start the season. And going into Friday, starting to play tougher teams, I think we needed this to give us confidence, and it was good practicing all of our sets and defenses.
Scored 10 of the first 11 points, up 20 in the second quarter early. Seemed like y'all came out ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we had really good energy, and we were just pushing through all of the weirdness of not playing at our own gym and kind of just knocking some rough stuff. And I think we did a good job, and we had spurts where we were really playing well.
Haven't won a conference title since 2019. Haven't had a 20-win season since 2018. Both of those goals are out there. Is that kind of what you're shooting for?
Yes, I think so far we're hitting a bunch of the goals that we wanted, and I can't wait to see what else we can do.
Rich, you kind of a tough question, man. You hadn't had a 20-win season in 7 years. You hadn't won a conference title in 38 years. What do you think about all that?
Well, she's heard about it from her coach, according to him.
What'd you think?
He's a second-year guy, and they're trying to turn it around. Now, they had a rough night Friday against Cannon, which Cannon and Providence Day are kind of a cut above Latin, it would appear, but this is the best Latin team in several years.
Yeah, Randall, that's what I wanted to ask. I mean, can Latin catch fire in the playoffs, say, and beat Providence there or Cannon School en route to the state championship?
The thing that Coach Mack has in his favor with this group is they're senior driven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you get to the end of the season and they know, hey, guys, we're coming to the end of the road, I think, those are typically when teams come even more together, they get closer. And it wouldn't shock me, at a neutral site where they might be able to knock off somebody and make a deep run.
So you're saying, yes, they can beat Providence Day or Cannon.
Are they better than those teams? No. But what I'm saying is on any Friday night, anything can happen.
Well, Providence Day is down Jenny Ann Dumont right now, and I don't know how long she's going to be out, but that, will weaken them significantly if that matchup were to happen. But Latin's boys, Randall's former team, are you back with them now? Or I don't know.
This is so crazy.
I'm just asking.
Well, you just adding more fuel to the fire.
Randall's former team also won on Tuesday night against Charlotte Christian. We heard from Alex Doska after the game.
Exciting victory over a rival team. I was talking to Coach. It's 11 straight times. I know they were trying to get you this time. What happened? I mean, y'all seem to have it in control, and they really battled down the stretch.
First half, we came out hot. We came out swinging, and then second half, we went through some adversity. But, we bounced back. We stuck together. We worked through it, and we got stops at the end of the day to finish the game.
What were the last couple of plays like? Does that to be a little bit of concern?
They were exciting, I'll say that. Turned the ball over a couple of times, but, at the end of the day, we got the win, and that's all that matters.
And you kind of survived with the missed 3 free throws. What was your thought? Obviously, you're trying to get positioned to get a rebound.
Yes, sir. We were trying to get the rebound. We were lucky that he missed 2 and got the win. We were just lucky about the miss.
And moving forward now, first conference game, what does it look? What kind of aspirations, expectations do you have for this team moving forward?
Every day, just keep stacking days, getting better and better every day. Friday, we're at Cannon. Show up ready to play, get better every day, and hopefully keep winning.
Richard, what do you think of Latin? Haven't seen him in person.
Well, it's interesting, and Gary and I were over there watching it together for 3 2/3 of the fourth quarter. They were dominating the game, and then it's like they forgot how to close the game out. And if that game had gone 2 more minutes longer, I would bet Gary would agree, Randall would agree with me that I think Christian wins that game.
Randall?
Yeah, I mean, it did get close at the end. I thought Latin played really well for 3 quarters and kind of let off the gas pedal at the end. Emory Chaney is just really, really good.
Freshman. He's a freshman, right?
Yeah, he controls the game. He's so poised. He was able to play last year as an 8th grader, so he does a really good job of getting to his spots. The thing that impressed me the most about him on Friday night was just how he initiates contact. Like, he's not one of those guys that's shying away from it. He goes and finds it, and he's going to the rim to finish or get to the free throw line. As long as Alex Dowser can remain aggressive and not get lost during the course of the game, they got a chance to be really, really good this year.
Okay, that's very interesting with them. I am a big fan of Chaney. I've seen him play. I didn't realize he was a freshman. I thought he was a sophomore. So I guess because he played last year.
He plays the 8th grade. Yep.
So I'm glad they actually changed those rules, because it used to be you couldn't do that.
And he's one of the kids where you could see the benefits. Like, I think the growth from his 8th grade year to his freshman year was very, very evident Friday night.
Yeah, I think the Charlotte private schools put themselves at a disadvantage for so many years by trying not to have reclasses, not allowing 8th graders to come and play, because they were trying to match CMS, and CMS never would play them, and they were hurting themselves going against the Freddie Johnsons of the world. So I'm actually glad to see them do that. Well, Richard, on Friday night, you saw South Meck play Valentine Ridge. I don't think it was a surprise that South Meck got a sweep. Their girls are really hot. They beat Mallard Creek on the road. I think they won 10, 12 straight games. And after the win, you talked to Caitlin Hensley.
Big win for you guys today. How does it feel to be 3-0 in the conference and 8 straight wins?
It feels really good. Our team prepared really well. Early mornings, late nights, all the negative talk we have. A lot of people doubt us in the area, so we had to come out, prove them that we are a good team out in the city. We're very excited to see what's coming next.
Your lead of the Southwestern Conference, how does that feel? And obviously there's a lot more games to go.
It feels great. I definitely worked hard for this, and the results are finally showing.
Looked like the pressing, trapping defense really bothered them, and y'all were able to kind of overwhelm them in the first quarter.
We definitely practice our traps and stuff every day at practice, so we know how to get through them if people come to trap us. We've been through it all. I mean, we're ready for anything that comes for us.
And what kind of goals do you have for the rest of the year?
Me personally, or team goals?
Both, yeah.
Me personally, just keep leading my team. It's my last year, so hopefully make it to the championship game. Hopefully come out with a ring. We're definitely capable enough of it. For our team, just conference champs again. Definitely go undefeated in the conference and keep going.
The girls always give better answers than the boys. Randall and Richard, can South Meck make a legitimate state championship run?
They're playing really, really good basketball right now. I think they got off to kind of a rough start, but the thing about them, I always reward and appreciate coaches that go play people. And even though South Meck is 13-3 right now, like, they went and played people early. Yeah. So they're battle tested, and going into conference play, like, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of their schedule. I think they're going to be very, very well prepared, and I think they do have a shot to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Richard, you've seen the Mallard Creeks. They beat Mallard Creek, but you've seen the Mallard Creeks and the North Meck. You've seen the better teams. How do they compare, especially as we get into the postseason?
They all have dynamic point guards. And I think the difference between the games has been if they hit just enough three-pointers to loosen up the defense. And in the case of South Meck, Nakira Harrington at the front of that press, she is really a factor for them. And they completely disrupted Valentine Ridge. I mean, that's a team they should beat. But it would be curious to see how that would work against other teams. Obviously, they've won at Mallard Creek, which is saying something, given I know they've got good guard play. So, Arrington is a real X factor for them because she is so disruptive in the trapping press.
Yeah, Gary, Caitlin talked about she feels disrespected in the city. Are people not believing in South Meck yet?
I think that, North Meck and Mallard Creek have been so dominant.
They just take up all the action.
That people just assume that it's those two and then everybody else. And I saw them play Mallard Creek. And I think what sets them apart is they have more than one ball handler. What Mallard Creek, Lake Norman, North have always been good at is attacking your best ball handler and making somebody else handle the ball who doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And then that person makes the wrong decision, bad decisions, turnovers.
Absolutely.
You can't do that with South Meck because they have more than one ball handler. You can't do that to Mallard Creek. And so if they can continue to play the way they are, they're going to be a hard out. I know that they will see Mallard Creek again because they're both 8A. Yeah. So they're going to see them again, and I don't think Mallard Creek will overlook them this time. But
who's most likely to come out of the West in 8A? Who's most likely to come out of the West in 7A?
I'm going to say Mallard Creek still.
Never been to a state final, Mallard Creek.
Yeah, but they, a couple of years they've been injured, especially like last year. And then a couple of years they were loaded, but they ran into that big post player from
they didn't have, from Greensboro,
Kitley. Was that her name?
I can't, but yeah, she's in Greensboro.
Yeah. They kept running into her for
every year.
And she's in the WNBA now.
Yeah.
So
it was Liz Kitley. You're right.
Yeah, Liz Kitley. Mallard Creek ran into her in back-to-back years, and they, that's what held Mallard Creek from getting a state championship.
I think they lost 3 games in 3 years. I think 2.
Yeah, I know what it's like running into a dominant post player because that's what happened to me.
State finals.
In the state championship with what's the WNBA player? Not Pringle.
Latoya Pringle.
Yeah, when she ripped down 27 rebounds in the state.
Didn't Dawn Stanley come into your locker room after that game?
Yeah. I remember that. But and then in 7A, it's gonna come down to Lake Norman, I think.
But who you picking though? We know who it's gonna be. Who you picking though?
In which games?
Lake Norman
in 7A. We are Lake Norman versus North Meck. Go ahead.
And she's watching. My friend is watching from Warville. She's watching.
I'm going North Meck this time.
Ooh.
This time, like he tried to say it like he went another way before. This time.
All right. My coach up in Warville is watching the show. And she feels very disrespected. On the boys' side, South Meck routed Valentine Ridge. I don't think that was a surprise. Richard and Rick, before we get your thoughts, I wanted to hear from Noah Hop.
Big win in the conference tonight. How much does this help you with momentum heading into the second half?
Definitely helps us a lot, Like you said, we've had a tough schedule early on. Got some early losses. But this group just stays connected, and we keep fighting. This is a big one moving forward.
And I know the way the makeup of the school, this maybe not a big rivalry yet, but obviously potential for down the road.
Yeah, definitely.
How was it for you guys? Because I think there were 6 guys on this team that played with you before.
Yeah. I'm good friends with a couple of people on the other team, so it was definitely a little rivalry going on. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
How much after the, I don't want to say slow start, but I know you had high expectations. Have you recharged your batteries, restarted, whatever you want to call it, for the second semester? Because obviously now for you seniors, this is the pretty important part of the year.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a wake-up call. I know there were some tough games early on, but it was definitely a wake-up call. And yeah, everybody's having fun now. We all have energy, and we're ready to keep going forward.
What kind of expectations do you have? Because obviously you're 2-1 in the league now.
Mm-hmm. We just want to keep winning, keep having fun.
Keep winning, keep having fun. Before I come to Richard and Rick, I wonder, Randall, South Meck's been really up and down this year. Why is that, and will they level out now?
I think it goes back to the same thing we talked about with the girls. Just they played some good teams, good competition. I think they're a solid basketball team, and I think that right now they got into the part of the schedule where they're finally starting to settle in, and they found their true identity.
Yeah, Rick, what do you think?
You know what I like? these two interviews, the kid from Latin and then this kid, you can tell they listen to their coaches because they have some coach speak in them. You know, one of them said stacking days. Yeah. The other one said staying connected. All of those are coach verbiage. That means they're listening.
Yeah,
they're listening.
Absolutely. Rick, what do you think about the Sabres?
I think Randall hit the nail on the head. I think you're seeing a lot of these coaches, you know, in the early season, going outside their area and outside their comfort zone to play some teams that will really prepare conference play and also for a playoff run.
Rick, Richard, you saw South Meck in person. I know the competition wasn't as strong as what they're going to face later on, but what did you see from the Sabres? And like the girls, do you think they can make a run?
Well, both teams have some veteran players that have been through these wars. Mm-hmm. I think South Meck's boys team thought they would be better, but as we've all established, they played a really challenging schedule. I love the quote that Christopher Medalla gave me. We're not scared of playing tough teams. Now, how will that bear itself out later in the year when they get in the playoffs? Will they be rewarded for playing all those tough teams and not be at the bottom of the playoff bracket? Because, you know, think about this. Their tough game they thought was Myers Park. Mm-hmm. Huff got a lot tougher, and that's what they see on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't have an easy road. They've got 4 games with Huff and Myers Park ahead of them. Ooh. All of those games will be challenging for them.
Yeah, and if you go 0-4, that could turn
right. That'll knock you down in the playoff brackets. I mean, I feel like they'll get in, but you know, their playoff seeding could be really low, and that would be the kind of team that you could see maybe springing an upset because they do have the pieces that can pull off something like that. Because Gatehouse and Haupt are really good players. Anthony Davis, a freshman guard, looked really good to me Friday night. I think they've got some good pieces.
Yeah, now they can score, and in the close game, they can get the buckets down the stretch. And they don't need a lot of stuff run for them because they can shoot from 85 feet. So that's always the thing. Big news this week. Again, Rich, I'm going to come back to you. West Charlotte is picking up a 3 or 4-star player named Janon Singh that played at Oak Hill. Chris Huell of West Meck scouted him for Rick Service, Phenom Hoops. Came away very impressed with this young man. I know you didn't see him play, but you did get a chance to look at him. I want to get your thoughts. I know you talked to him, so we're going to play his interview, and then we'll come back.
Brought you here, and when are you going to be able to play?
Just a Team United connection. It's like home to me, so just being able to come here and compete at a high level. As far as me getting in school, getting my schedule, exams are going on right now, so as soon as the exams are over, I should be able to see it.
When is your impression that'll be?
It was a great win. You know, it's a great team. It's a young team, so I'm coming as a leader and leading the team and just come in and win the state championship.
When is the impression you get that you'll be able to play?
Friday.
Friday
against Chambers.
I'm assuming you were here for when Oak Hill came here. What was that like? Did that kind of firm your decision to want to come here? Or?
Well, before Oak Hill played West Charlotte, I was already working on coming here. So just knowing Coach Kobe, knowing everybody on the team, has been even better.
And the Team United connection, how many of these guys are on that team that you play?
A couple of them, but a lot of coaches support this program. So a lot of coaches play in this program, so it's going to be great.
And the goal is to win the state championship.
The goal is to win the state championship.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Richard, West Charlotte already has Kahari Coleman, who's a top 60 sophomore. Now they're getting what probably is going to be one of the best juniors in North Carolina when this kid arrives. How good is this Lions team going to be?
If he's a low post scoring presence to add to Ja'Kai Wade, it'll really help him. I mean, you know, not seeing him play, I did find it fascinating, though, looking at the 24/7 Sports rankings. He was number 4 in Virginia, with number 1 being L.J. Smith, who we all know when he was at Lincoln. So obviously this guy is considered a top player. You know, I guess you could – the naysayer would say, well, there might not be enough basketballs because Chacho Womack's going to get shots. Amen Presley's going to get shots. But I thought it was interesting talking to Jacoby Davis. He said he's fitting in with the team, playing hard, and he seems to be a really good kid, which seems to me that he's hopeful that he will integrate himself into the roster very quickly. And, you know, they're already ranked number 1 in 8A, so you'd like to think it would only help them. But it's one of those things where it'll be interesting to see how he does fit in with this team because they've already done quite well so far.
Yeah. North Carolina has a rule. You can only play 24 regular season games. At the time that he apparently left Oak Hill, they had played 14 games. West Charlotte would have 9 remaining going into Chambers. So it looks like, assuming everything else is okay, he's okay rules-wise. Rick, I hear that this kid is, I'm not saying he's as good as, but he's more of an Isaiah Evans type of player, a long, skinny wing that can get to the rim and shoot it from outside. West Charlotte's now going to have a team full of guys like that. How do you think that changes the dynamic for West Charlotte and changes the dynamic for their competition?
Well, before he arrived, you had, I thought West Charlotte had 3 of the best players in the state, the trio with Womack, Coleman and Presley, and now you add him into the mix. He's 6'7", he's long, he's bouncy, he's athletic. This might be one of the most athletic and skilled teams in the state. In addition to Queens Grant, I think those are definitely hands down the 2 best teams at the public school sector, and they would be the heavy favorite to win the state with this addition.
Well, Rick, we've been talking about how public school basketball is down. Now you might have a super team.
Well, the thing about it is Jacoby Davis, he's won a state championship before. Yes. He knows the ins and outs as far as, the chemistry. And I think, Richard hit upon that. I think that's going to be the key factor, is how well they develop the chemistry between these last, 9 to 10 games of the remaining of the season. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it, I think that the situation is, I think all these kids are driven for one thing. They want to win a state championship. And I think at the end of the day, Kahari Coleman at the point guard, who's a national level recruit, he is also very unselfish. He has great court vision and he's a willing passer. And, I think this is the type of situation that will propel West Charlotte to a state championship.
Gary, if you're an opposing coach at, say, Huntersville or Cornelius or, I don't know, Greensboro, how are you feeling right now?
I'm hoping that they do have chemistry problems. If I'm an opposing coach and, we speak about chemistry, the kids are going to be fine. Mm-hmm. It's the parents that may have a problem with it.
Right. Because my kid's not getting enough shots.
There you go. My kids, that's some shots coming away from my kid. Right. That's playing time coming away from my kid. Mm-hmm. Why does the coach want to do this? And kids hear this. Mm-hmm. Parents are the ones that mess up team chemistry most of the time because they're always talking about the coach in front of the kid. And you hear that day after day, and then the kids start listening to it and they take it back to the locker room. So if I'm an opposing coach, I try to make them be patient. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they can be patient. If I'm Jacoby, I'm playing 94 feet so that everybody feels that. Yeah, and we can increase the number of possessions so people do get enough shots.
Right.
But if the game is slow and every possession is a must make, then that's when you start to worry if you're West Charlotte. But, I think, as a coach, having 7-8 kids that had college aspirations on a team, it's the parents you have to worry about, not kids.
Well, Gary, the one thing
Gary's point, the best thing that they may have going for them at West Charlotte is the league they're in. Yeah. They're going to be challenged in their games, even though we expect them to win them all. Yeah. Those kids will have to get together.
Wait, we expect them to beat North Meck both times? Is that what you're saying?
But I'm saying, even if they don't, that's going to be challenging games. I would say in that league, they've probably got 6 or 8 challenging games out of the remaining 9, and they're going to have to pull together to win those games.
That game against Chambers is going to be a zoo Friday. I know Chambers not having the season they thought they'd have. It's going to be a zoo. Randall is the only head coach, right? Go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
The other thing I want to mention, if I'm Jacoby Davis, I'm going to say one thing to the players and the team, and I'm going to say team success equals individual success. And when you look at that, lineup, you have 4 players that are mid to high major players anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to emphasize, look, guys, you're going to get yours. You're going to be, a mid to high major prospect.
Yeah.
And win a state championship and see how this elevates your status on a national level.
Yeah, the best teams I've seen is Charlotte, Northside 14, West Charlotte 99, Providence Day 16, had this type of makeup. They had a big guy that this team doesn't have, but this type of makeup, and everybody averaged 10, 12 points. And it worked because nobody got upset with it. Randall, as the only head coach on the show right now, put your Jacoby Davis hat on for me. How do you handle this? How do you incorporate this guy? Do you start him right away? Do you play him 28 minutes right away, or do you work him in?
I mean, I think you got to work him in. I think, it's going to be a chemistry thing. So I think you got to work him in, but gradually you got to get to a point where, you get him into the starting lineup. But I mean, I think it's just a conversation that you make sure you have with the team and, just being open and honest of what expectations are now and what it looks like, as like Coach said, team success, will increase individual success. So just making sure, I think the most important thing is just making sure that everybody's on the same page and stays together as you try to make the state playoff run.
All right.
Well, I think I want to add one more thing. The thing that I think that West Charlotte may have lacked going into the state playoffs was that additional size factor. They were all around 6'4", 6'5", and under. Mm-hmm. Having someone that's 6'7" and lengthy and athletic as he is and bouncy, mm-hmm. he's going to probably play like he's 6'9", and I think that's a huge advantage for West Charlotte.
They're going to be fast and long. I mean, they legitimately could be scary. And if this kid can shoot, which is I don't know if he can or can't, but that's the one thing they don't have, consistent outside shooting. They may not have a weakness at that point. And this kid could be somebody who could be one of our players of the week, Randall. But let's talk about who made our girls' players of the week real quick.
We got Mackenzie Clutter at Mount Pleasant, 5'3" point guard. She scored 25 points, had 8 rebounds this week. Annabella Hall at Barry scored 30, had 7 rebounds in a big win versus Olympic. Chaya James at Olympic in a 43-38 win against Harding. She had 25 points and 17 rebounds and followed that out with 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 blocks on Friday. Jalea Littlejohn at North Gaston broke a 35-year-old school record with 50 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals versus Crest. And Claire Frank at South Point scored 26 and had 14 rebounds on Friday.
Yeah, shout out to Chaya James with a triple-double. You don't see that too often. But Richard Jalea Littlejohn, I mean, how many 50-point games do you tell me have ever been scored in the state?
It's not that many, but you and I found out not many are being reported. So there's some unreported games, but recently, the Oshana Holland at Kramer had a 51-point game, and then last year Tiana Pettis for Bessemer City had, I think, 7 games, including a 65-point game that we think is the state record.
All-time state record.
But Jalea Littlejohn, I mean, there had been 4 other girls that had scored 38 twice and 39 twice. So nobody had ever exceeded 40 points, and she goes all the way to 50 for North Gaston.
Yeah, that's a crazy game. Shout out to Jalea. That's amazing. On the boys' side, Rick, we got Kyson Coleman had a big night.
Yeah, the 6'4" forward, in the upset win over J.M. Robinson, he had 25 points, 12 rebounds, and it was his 6th double-double this season. He's averaging right at 16 points a game and 9.8 rebounds. So this is sort of a steady performance for Coleman for Concord. Next up, we have 6'2" sophomore Eddie Cota, son of the famous UNC point guard Eddie Cota, 17 points, 4 assists, 2 steals and win over Barry Friday night, plus 7 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds on Harding on Tuesday. And someone that we mentioned earlier as far as with Huff, Trey Radliff, he's 6'3", 6'4". Here's someone that came in as a sophomore last year that averaged only like 4 or 5 points a game, had 28 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, and 58-56 upset win over North Meck. And then someone who's been doing it all year for Lincolnton is Josiah Guyton, 40 points, 12 rebounds, 5 steals, and 81-77 win over Bessemer City. And then last we have 6'4" Henry Smith of Marvin Ridge in a 71-62 win over Sun Valley. Smith had 32 points on 11 of 16 shooting, plus 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He's averaging 16.9 points a game, 4.8 rebounds, 3.9 assists for the Mavericks, who is now 13-3 and in the Sweet 16.
Now, that's an impressive run. I got to get a Marvin Ridge, Southern Carolina's Union County guy in there for Randall, because he always calls me, don't forget about Union County. So we got to get him in there. I'm taking care of you, Randall. Taking care of you. All right, games of the week. Randall on the girls' side, what do you see?
We got Cannon at Providence Day, huge game. Providence Day needs to protect the home court. Cannon School, obviously, battled some injuries early on. They've gotten kind of back on track. We got South Meck at Huff. As we talked about, South Meck is kind of figuring it out.
Yeah.
I expect them to go to Huff and really, put a stamp on the season and show just how good they are. It's a huge road game for them. Lincoln Charter at Lake Norman Charter. Lincoln Charter has some losses this year. Lake Norman has not felt defeat yet. This is I think it's the first big game for Lake Norman Charter all season. I'm all about going to play people. They don't have the strongest of schedule so far, so this Lincoln Charter game is huge for them.
Well, they had to play Lincoln Charter because it's a conference game, but yes. I get your point. But you put Lake Norman Charter in the Sweet 16 and you hadn't all year. What finally made you decide to put them there?
There's the argument that, you got to go play people, but there's also the argument of we got to play the schedule that we have to play. They are the only, undefeated team still right now. And so for that reason, I decided to go ahead and put them in.
All right. So we got a bunch of boys games, Rick Lewis. West Charlotte's got a couple big ones. They got like 3 or 4 straight road games. They got Butler Tuesday, then Friday, Mr. Singh allegedly is going to start playing when they play at Chambers. But tell us about the week on the boys side.
Well, the West Charlotte Butler game could be a trap game for West Charlotte.
Yes.
All the anticipation, with the new arrival of a new player and the expectations of the game on Friday night. So that's one thing that if I'm Jacoby, I have to really warn my team, listen, Butler's a very dangerous team and we can't take them lightly because that is a trap game for them. Independence at North Meck, I think this is a must win for North Meck. I think the Huff win has probably shown other teams that you can go into North Meck and win. So it's one of those situations where North Meck and Dwayne Lewis has to regroup and hold the home court advantage, especially with Independence in their conference now. And Independence is a very good team. And the one thing outside of Ashton Pierce, North Meck, I'm not sure how good of a three-point shooting team they are from the perimeter, but that's one thing they're going to see a lot of from Independence is that 3-2 zone. And then Friday night, you have a great game. I think this will probably be a sellout with Huff. If you look at Bo May, his brother Drake played at Myers Park, so there's some history there.
Yeah.
But Huff at Myers,
I didn't even think about that. Good point.
And the other thing too about Myers Park, they're 11-5, and they had a huge win at the Randall Ingram MLK. And that's
they beat New Hanover. You know who didn't pick Myers Park, Rick? You know.
I have a feeling. But anyway, you look at Dory Hines. He started out at Kinston and he coached at Mount Olive. Took over a new team, and they're still very young.
Yeah,
but they do have a high level recruit in Thomas Vickery. I think they're gelling, and I think they're going to be in contention as well. I think you'll probably see, in my opinion, another repeat performance of Myers Park in West Charlotte somewhere down the line.
Ooh, all right.
And then you have East Meck and Aldrich Hale, and what a job Mike Kraft has done. I mean, again, he lost, one of his top players, and two of his top 3 scorers, and no one really had him picked except for you, Langston. I'll give you kudos there. But we didn't have him in the Sweet 16, and he's sitting there like 13-2, and what a remarkable job he's done this season. East Meck is one of these teams that, with the addition of the big guy, it's like, they can come in and make some noise. They have the pieces. Again, I watched them again this weekend. I think for them, it's just a matter of just develop that team chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be the key for them. And then the last game we have is Hickory Ridge, and you got the midseason. One of the first team players is Travion Williams, who he really just does it all. He scores, he rebounds, he makes assists, he gets steals. He just does it all going up against Central Bears. And his uncle is the head coach at Central Bears.
Wow. This is going to be a really big week of games. I think the games are only going to get better as we get closer to conference tournament play and state playoff play. Really looking forward to it. We're going to be right back after this message. We got Cam's interview with Noah Van Bearden, the guy that just is killing it this year. And then we're going to get to my favorite part of the show, which is Coach vs. Coach.
Hi, this is Randall Clark, the host of Talking Preps. We are back with another basketball season. Join us each Monday to get the latest news on Charlotte area boys and girls hoops. We've got rankings, predictions, player interviews, and more. Watch the show every Monday at noon on charlotteobserver.com, streaming on all platforms Monday at 9 p.m. Don't miss the #1 high school basketball show in North Carolina. Join us each week.
Randall, I appreciate that. #1 show in North Carolina. Appreciate that shout out, man.
Yeah, man. Gotta be.
All right. Cameron Williams got a chance to catch up with Noah Van Bearden this week of Alexander Central. Rick, this kid is just killing it.
He can shoot it.
Yeah, he's averaging like 23 points a game, and you're going to see in his highlight. Well, check these highlights out where he's shooting the ball from. I'm going to drop this.
All right, what's up, everyone? Back with another one-on-one interview. Cam Williams here with Talking Prep. Today, I've got Noah Van Bearden of Alexander Central. We'll bring him on now. What's up, Noah? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Wanted to bring you on, just chat a little bit with you, talk about the season so far. Pouring in the stats, I mean, just looking at the stat, I mean, you're a 1,500-point career scorer so far, but averaging 23.1 points for about 4.5 rebounds and 3.1 assists. Just talk to me about how the season's going so far, 11-5. What have you liked? I mean, just kind of what's it been like playing for a new school? If I'm not mistaken, you played your first 3 years at a different school, and now this is your first with Alexander Central.
It's been good so far. Start of the season was rough for us. Got off to a 2-3 start. But we really found our stride. Really found the way we like to play. And Coach Hodges preaches it. It's part of the reason I transferred. He preaches ball movement, and out of every team in our conference, really, I think we move the ball the best. And it's really helping me as a player, obviously scoring, but I'm not the only guy. We got 4 guys averaging double figures this year. It's why we're 9-2 in our last 11 games, and tied for first in conference. Obviously, got a big game Tuesday with the only other undefeated team in conference, which we feel really prepared for. But season's been good. Just trying to take that next step as a leader, really. And then I worked a lot on the defensive side of the ball this past summer, which is why I'm averaging almost 3 steals a game this year, and feel like we're really hitting our stride at the right time.
Yeah, man, watching those highlights, you're not just a spot-up shooter. You can get downhill, some crafty finishes in there, turnarounds, contested layups. What would you say is the best part of your game? Because you did have some just inside a half-court range there. Some of those threes were pretty deep.
Definitely my jump shot. My jump shot really opens everything up for me. Getting to the basket, like I can create space for my teammates, obviously, but my trainers always said my jump shot's my superpower, and I typically use that to my advantage, and it opens up everything else for me, really. So it helps me stretch the floor a lot for my guys.
Yeah, talk about your jump shot a little bit. I noticed in that video you had a real quick release. Just what is the benefit of some of the, and do you have trainers you work with, anything like that to kind of work on your jump shot? Because I noticed the releases, it's real quick.
Right. Yeah. So obviously going into college next year, I'm playing in a really tough Division III conference, the ODAC. There's a lot of good schools in there, and for me to help Lynchburg the best next year, really thought extending my range a lot, like being able to shoot 5-6 feet off the 3-point line, which is something we really worked on this summer, like not just taking toe of the line threes, like really just extending the range. And that's why a lot of my shots now are probably 3-4 feet off the line. And my trainer really helped me just like speed it up, because I had a slower shot really my sophomore year, and like going into my junior year, we need to get it faster so I can get up more threes. And that's really helped me out a lot this year.
Yeah, there's nothing slow about your release now, that's for sure. But tell me, what's it been like playing for Coach Hodges? I've known Coach Hodges a while now, doing back at his time at Lake Norman, and always has really solid teams, really sound foundational teams. Just what has his guidance this year meant to you, and kind of how has that evolved your game even more?
Coach Hodges, I love playing for him. I played travel for him this past summer, and that carried into this high school season, helped me determine where I wanted to transfer to, if I was going to transfer. And when he took the job at AC, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. And he's just really good coach, really good X's and O's guy, and he makes sure his teams play super hard. Like, he preaches effort, and we talk about it a lot in the locker room. We don't he doesn't look forward to other games. Like it's the same mindset. Let's go 1-0, and like that's what we've had this run we're on. And he just makes sure we play super hard, and he's going to put me and my teammates in the best spot for us to succeed and win games.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you've already played them once this season, but a few more games and you'll play St. Stephen's again. What is that like? What is that dynamic like where you've played at a school for 3 years and having to play them again, obviously on the winning side of a pretty lopsided victory the first time, but just what goes into that dynamic?
You just try to take all the emotion out of the game. Really, it's just basketball at the end of the day, and it's fun playing against old teammates and old coaches, and you just try to take all the emotion out of it. Really, don't make the game bigger than it is. It's just a conference game for us. That's the mindset we went in with it, and that's why we were able to come out on top. We always feel like we're going to be more prepared, and it felt like they were more concerned about just beating me, and we just came in the game like we just need to win the game, and that's what the mindset was, because I didn't have a big game scoring, because it's just about winning, and we had a guy hit 7 threes that game, so it's just about coming in and handling business, and that's all that game was to me.
I got you, man. Well, appreciate you coming on today. Best of luck the rest of the way. Make sure to tell Hodges hi for me. It's been a while since we've had a chance to catch up, but do appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Man's got good hair, fellas. Got a good shot and good hair. I love kids like that having a big ear. It's time for my favorite part of the show. I know I promised we were going to get the graphic stuff worked out. My bad. Had a busy week and didn't get a chance to get it to sign.
And Gary, by the time he gets it right, the season's gonna be over.
No, I'm gonna get it right. I just got to run through the protocol. We'll get it right. We're gonna drop the music and get to my favorite part of the show. All right, Gary, you taking the ball, or you letting Randall win the tip?
I'll take it this time.
You take it this time. All right. Question 1. DJ McFadden made big news this week. Went from Independence, which is a very good program, to another good program in West Charlotte, which just won a state championship 2 years ago. All CMS coaches make the same low salary. So, Gary, why do coaches make lateral moves?
I went through this in my career when I left Vance, now Chambers, going to Hopewell. And I'm thinking, that when you get hired as a coach, you come in and you try to be in alignment with the principal and the AD that hired you. Okay. That's why they picked you to take the job, because they think you're in alignment with what they want to achieve and you're the best candidate to do that. And I don't think DJ has the same principal that hired him. I know he doesn't have the same AD. That was big for me when I made a switch from one school to another. Are you in alignment with the leadership? And, most principals, most ADs, they want their own people, no matter how successful the coaches they're inheriting. And so sometimes you kind of get out of alignment. And then also, I think West Charlotte, it's easier because of its location to get the athletes necessary to win the state championship. They got new facilities at West Charlotte now. They got new field house, new locker rooms, new weight rooms, new everything at West Charlotte. And a turf field. I know DJ has been hollering about that grass field at Independence ever since he got there. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that go into it. The demographics of, the players. For me, that was important. One of the reasons I left Vance is, in my heyday, when we went to the state championship, every girl on my team, except the 2 freshmen, had a car. You don't realize how convenient that is for me, that I could schedule practices and workouts and things like that, because they had a way of getting there.
And you don't have to take them home after practice.
And they didn't have to take them home. Yeah. And, I say, hey, summer workouts, we meeting at 11 o'clock at the gym. and they're gonna be there.
Right.
And then when the demographics advance changed, and I only had one kid with a car, and now you have to work around parent schedules, that makes a difference.
Right.
What you do in the building. When I started Advance, they let me write my own class schedule. You know, the classes I wanted to teach, the periods I wanted to teach them, the planning period I wanted. Ann Clark, who was my principal that went on to become the superintendent, she made it easy for me to coach 2 sports.
Right.
Okay. So when she left, by the time I left, I think 5 years after she had been promoted, you know, I didn't have that same alignment with the principals. I was on my 4th principal. I was on my 3rd AD. And we were no longer in alignment. So I was like, you know, they didn't hire me. It's time for me to get out of here.
Right.
And so I think that may be the reason that DJ is leaving Independence. You know, different principal, different AD, different alignment. So that's why you would leave. The principals can't do anything about the money, but there are things they can do for you in the building that enhance or make your job better. And I think I haven't talked to DJ yet, so I don't know if that's his reason, but I think he has a better chance of winning a state championship at West Charlotte than he does at Independence. At Independence, he's got to go through Weddington. He's got to go through Brimsley. He's bumped his head up against those 2 schools enough to know what I have here.
Bad news, Gary. Bad news. He got to go against Huff.
He got to go against Huff, but you got to go against one school versus
right. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I got you. Randall.
That last part, that's the most important part. You know, you get to go over there to West Charlotte and you got a better chance of winning the state championship. You know, to piggyback off on what Gary said, I think, you know, when you aren't working for the person that hired you, it can be very, very tough. And you talked about the alignment, but I also think that if what your vision for not only your team, but also your vision of with, you know, what the parents, what your expectations of parents are and how they're supposed to act and, you know, those expectations, I think when you combine all those things together, it makes it very easy to understand why DJ might have looked at it and said, okay, maybe it is time for a change of scenery because of, you know, now you're working with somebody that hired you at West Charlotte. You guys, the thought process can be aligned. You know, you like Gary said, you know, West Charlotte has all new facilities, which is very good for a school. And then obviously, you know, the type of athletes that you get at West Charlotte, you don't necessarily get everywhere.
And they also have a very, very large fan base that a lot of schools do not have. Randall, since you're on screen and it's your turn, what is the most competitive classification this season in boys and in girls?
This is going to be fun. On the boys' side, I'm going 5A. I think I think Huss, you know, is really good. Obviously, we talked about, you know, them a lot, but you know they got North Lincoln. And I think there's a lot of other teams in the 5A classification on the boys' side that make it very, very interesting. On the girls' side, I'm going 7A.
Wait, who'd you say on the boys' side?
On the boys' side, I said 5A.
5A, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then on the girls' side, I'm going 7A. I think when you look at it, you know, you got North, you got Lake Norman, you know, obviously at the top. It makes it very, very interesting. And I think it's going to be, when we get to that time, you know, watching the playoffs on both those 2 sides should be very interesting.
I think McKenzie is still a tough out in 7A. Gary.
On the boys' side, I'm going to go with 8A, I think is the toughest classification. And then on the girls' side, I kind of agree with Randall. I think it's 7A.
All right. Well, Gary, since you're there and it's your turn, is it necessary for CMS or other school systems to pause games for a week because of exams? We saw this last week when CMS mostly was out all week.
No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. First of all, let me tell you, they practiced every day.
Yeah, they did.
In schools, okay? CMS operates, the high schools, they operate on a half day. They get out at noon during exam. You can't tell me and I'm around high school students every day. They going home, they get home at 1 o'clock and they studying until they go to bed because they're not, so they going home and having fun. They going home to sleep. They out with friends. They're not studying anymore for exams than they would be the average test on a weekly basis.
Right.
Okay. The reason CMS, I think, I don't know this for a fact, but I think the reason they shut down the games is for perception. To make it look like, okay, we don't want parents to use this as an excuse for why their kid didn't do well on the exam.
Right.
Trust me, athletes, this is ongoing for them. Academics and practice and games. They've already learned how to do that, manipulate that schedule.
Right.
I think it's more for the students who might go to the game during exam week instead of staying home and studying. And like I said, they get out at 12, so they got all day to study. They can still come back to the game, and kids are not studying like that. So, I'm gonna just tell it like it is. They're not studying like that. They're in AP or Cambridge or some program like that.
Right.
The average kid is not studying any harder for exams than they would an ordinary test. So it's for perception. They could play the games, but if parents don't want their kids going to a game because they got an exam tomorrow night, that's a parental thing.
I was at a game Tuesday night. I saw a bunch of CMS people at that game Tuesday night, but that's a different story. Randall,
I would say that if you don't want to play on Tuesday, I understand, but there's no reason why we had all these teams that didn't play Friday night. That part doesn't make sense to me. I was shocked to see some of these teams taking a whole week off. I think if you don't want to play Tuesday because of exams, I understand it. But by Friday, the kids had a half day, school's out, it's the weekend, we can play Friday night. And like Gary said, they've been practicing all week anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, Randall, since it's your turn and you're on the screen, how does it affect high school sports when the local, state, and college athletic programs are having bad seasons?
It doesn't. And the reason why I say it doesn't is because we are in a portal life. All these coaches want to go to the portal. And so when you think about it, the high school kids are the bottom of the barrel. So if you take a team like NC State or Wake, who might be struggling a little bit this year, when the season's over, they're not going. I don't talk about that school. But when you talk about these schools, like, if you have a rough year, the first thing they're going to do is go to the portal. They're not looking to add high school kids, because at the end of the day, they're trying to keep their jobs. And if we already came off one bad losing season, high school kid ain't going to help us keep our job in most cases.
That's true. Mike Bray used to always say, "Get old, stay old." Gary,
I don't think it affects the big programs. He used Wake and State, and I threw in North Carolina because they're not having as good a season as the record indicates. I don't think it hurts the big programs, but I do think it could have an effect on smaller programs who are still using high school students to make their program better, because they don't have the NIL money to attract big name players. So they do have to build, say a Division II school like Johnson C. Smith or Wingate or something at that level. If they're having a bad season and high school kids are, like Randall said, high school kids are falling back some as far as their demand. Right. And they're having to choose to start at a lower level, instead of going D1, now they got to go D2 or they got to go D3. I think then, winning does matter, because kids want to go to a winning program, all other things being equal as far as how much money they're going to get. As far as scholarships is concerned.
Rich, I want to toss this question to you as somebody who works at a Gaston College and has covered college sports for a long time, and has some ties to a certain team in Raleigh. How do you take this question? Does it affect high school sports when the local, state, and college programs are having bad seasons?
It does and it doesn't. I agree with both of the comments made by Gary and Russell. I mean, Randall. I mean, the kids want to go where it's winning, but now with NIL, they want to go where what's the best for them and their families. But like for instance, I'll use an example. I grew up in Bowling Springs. Gardner Webb is having an abysmal basketball season. Yeah. The perception around the world is they're going to make major changes within the program. Whether that means the coach won't be there or not, who knows? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of opportunity there. Right. So does a kid say, you know what? I'm not getting a great strong offer from other Division I's. How about I go to Gardner Webb where they're building from the ground up? It'll be interesting to see if that plays out that way. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to get at sometimes because NIL has so changed the way that people look at high schools. Yeah. And I don't disagree that the winning programs are what people want to be a part of. But when you say winning programs, as we were talking about, North Carolina's got a good record, mm-hmm. but a lot of North Carolina fans are unhappy with that.
Very happy.
So does that mean that people, and I also think a kid's going to want to visit wherever he goes. Mm-hmm. And if you go to a big school like North Carolina, NC State, Wake, or Duke, and the fans are unhappy, mm-hmm. I think the kids and his family, more importantly than them, hear that negativity and go, whoa, do we really want to hitch our wagon to this? Right. Whereas you go to a Gardner Webb, it's probably a ghost town now because they're not very good. In Division IIs, unless it's a rivalry game, there's not a whole lot of fan interaction, so it's based on what the coach is telling you and your perception of what the coach is telling you.
All right, Rick, give you the final word here. You're on mute, though, Rick.
It's Mike.
There you
go. Yeah. I think for the players at the mid to high major level, the NIL is probably going to be the major factor where they go to school. I said, a lot of times with the other kids, especially at the high school level, they're the ones that's last on the totem pole as far as being recruited. It's basically the layers of recruiting is at the college level. You got to re-recruit your own players. Mm-hmm. You got to you're going to recruit the portal. C, you're going to go after, JUCOs, and then D, you're going to go after, post-grad. And then, used to be last on that list was high school, but now a lot of the colleges are now going after European professional players. Wow. Now you have the dynamics of some of the G League guys that you can recruit. Yeah. That being said, I think some of the schools in North Carolina, like a Gardner Webb, mm-hmm. have to do a better job of recruiting players in state. I think that's the biggest bugaboo that I see with a lot of the schools, the D1 schools at the lower level in the Carolinas. There's so much talent in this state. They don't do a very good job of recruiting within their state boundaries. That being said, it goes back to the same situation is all these coaches, they're forced to win. So I think the mindset with a lot of these college coaches is, well, I got to go out and get a kid off the portal. Well, there's also some negatives about the portal. You're also recruiting someone else's headaches and problems. And not every kid on the portal is going to be helpful. So I think the mindset right now is so often is with college coaches is I got to get an older, more mature, physically developed player than going out and getting a high school player.
Yep.
And, I'll give you a good example. UNC Asheville has been very successful. They've gone out and they've done a very good job of getting, high school kids and developing. They got one kid, that's a freshman there that's probably going to be probably getting $1 million in NIL going from UNC Asheville to a high major school. Mm-hmm. I think, again, a lot of these younger players have to understand it's a step process. Go to levels where you can compete and get playing time early. And I think that's the major factor. But again, going back to what I said about schools like Gardner Webb, they have to do a better job of recruiting the state players within the state.
Hey, Rick, I got a question because you're around a lot of prospects. Do you think it would behoove a lot of schools? You mentioned UNC Asheville, but do you think it would behoove these low-level D1 and in football we call them FCS schools, but and then the Division II schools, it would behoove them to sell high school kids on that I can get you to a higher level if you come give me 2 years.
Well, Gary, that's a great point. And a lot of colleges are doing that, especially at the lower level.
Yeah, I think this is an amazing conversation. I almost think we need to put this on a subscription or with a Patreon, because Rick dropping too many gems for free. Rick, you got to stop doing that, man. We got to make you pay before they get all this kind of information.
But Gary raised a really excellent point, especially with these lower level schools. And I've told if I'm a college coach at a low major level or D2, I'm going to encourage, listen, come to my school. You can play right away. And if you have an opportunity to transfer up, I'm going to be supporting you in that decision.
Yeah, no, I think that's excellent advice. Gary, we are barely an hour into the show. We're done. And I'm like, in football, we just be getting to like the halfway point. So
yeah, and we still in the playoff game is still tied up. So
it's still tied up. We can watch the rest of the game. All right, it's time to put the big man in this one shot. What you find the thoughts, Randall?
I watched a lot of high school basketball this week, and I think the most important thing that I came away with is kids need to watch more basketball. I'm not talking about NBA. I'm not talking about Luka. I'm not talking about SGA. I'm talking about college basketball, because it's so many things that this generation of kids is lacking. And it starts with basketball IQ, understanding time and score, knowing where the possession arrow is. There's so many intricate things that go into the game of basketball that when I watch a lot of these high school games, kids just don't know. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that I've come to realize is that kids just don't watch basketball anymore. They don't watch games. They watch highlights on Twitter or Instagram or NBA TV, but they don't sit and watch the game. And I think that that's where you really learn how to play. And so, I would encourage, all the high school players, when you talk about, you want to get better, one way to get better is by just sitting and watching the game and watching the game that's inside the game, and just really trying to learn it. You got to be a student of the game. It's just like anything else. If, you want to be good at math, you got to study. Basketball is the same way. If you want to be good at it, you also got to study it. You got to perfect it.
Yeah, I think the kids are playing the game, not watching the game. All right, great show, fellas. Randall and Rick giving out all this free information. Like I said, I'm gonna put this behind a paywall somewhere. all this good stuff. That is Randall Clark, the best trainer I know. That is Rick Lewis, the #1 voice of high school basketball. You just heard it. There's Gary Richmond, my frat brother, CMS former coach. I think Gary's going to be the offensive coordinator at West Meck in about 2 weeks.
They'll start.
About 2 weeks.
Trying to get me divorced.
And Richard Walker, our newest correspondent. Glad to have Richard on the show. The only man I know has worked longer than me. So I'm Langston, and we are done talking preps.